Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me, he's not so much trained. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
The hell is that supposed to mean?
You're not trained.
I'm trained to do what?
Anything. I don't fucking know. It's a week. It's a week this week. Or I should have said he's the one that doesn't listen to the rules. There you go. There you go. You're the one that don't listen to the rules, Doug.
You always get the better one after we've started.
Because I really don't put no thought to the nicknames until I actually hit the record button. I'm like, oh shit, I still got to think of a nickname. Think. Oh, but today is episode 9 of Black and White. This episode is episode 668 on the run, and it's called "The Bloom is on Axew," or translated from Japanese, "Out of Control Pendror Rescue Kibago." Rescue Kibago. Okay, I'm gonna say that. And
so obviously you're getting a couple of Pokemon. Japanese translations for Pokemon names. Yeah.
Yes. So how are you doing, man? We recorded a movie last night.
Yes, we did.
And at the beginning of that podcast, we said this is not going to be close to 3 hours, and it was fucking 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Yeah, the freaking Skype call was almost 4.
I was like, man, if you haven't heard The Secrets of the Jungle, go and listen to it. If you want to hear some fellas not give up and kind of get tired as they're going through that movie, go ahead and listen to it. It's really good, but we do get pretty tired towards the ending.
I was going to say, you might even be able to pinpoint where I just die.
Yeah, when you yawn.
No, it was before that. That was, and I was telling you before we hit record, we should have broke it up, but I mean, hindsight's 2020. But it's weird because I didn't have any issues going through
Mewtwo.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I think it was because Mewtwo was a little bit earlier in the day. We wasn't doing it all the way until midnight. At least I don't remember doing it all the way until midnight.
Well, no, we definitely didn't.
So, yeah, but we made it through though.
So when is this episode going out?
This episode, that is a very good question. I think this one's close to December something, but yeah, honestly, without doing a lot of going on websites and stuff, I'm not sure when this episode is going out.
Well, because I think we're around there because the one we did with Mel last week, I think you mentioned something about it going out like the first week of December. Yeah, so.
And as of right now, let's see. Let's go ahead. This is episode 668, so 3 more after this one. So that goes out October 19th. All right, I will have a date for you. So 1, 2, 3. This is November 9th.
Oh, damn.
Is when this one is going out. So very soon.
Well, how is this one going out on the 9th of November, but the one we did with Mel?
Because we have more Kanto in the backlog than we do our Black and White.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is it. But yeah, we did the movie last night. It was a lot of fun. We're getting a decent amount of clicks on it, and they're still rolling up. So,
well, it hasn't even been out for 24 hours yet.
No, not even. So, thank you, everybody. For some reason, I'm guessing more and more people have listened to Dreams by the Yardful, that because it must have fallen and people just download, because I'm slowly, it's not out there anymore, but I'm slowly seeing that number just like peak up like here and there. And someone found a way to be able to listen to that episode even after it's been pulled. So
Let's see if it's still.
yeah, oh, it's not there anymore. If that's what you're looking up.
No, it's not.
But after outside of that, Doug, anything exciting happened within the past 24 hours besides all of this rain that we got today?
I didn't hate the rain.
I didn't either. I love it.
I just wish it would have made up its mind before I started my second lap, because I had to go in because I had to make a pit stop, and I was like, it's getting kind of cloudy, and it was like, oh no, I'll hold up for half an hour. About got to the point of no return where it wouldn't have made any difference if I turned around because it was basically the same distance, and it was like, oh, we're gonna rain now.
Oh, so you got caught in the downpour?
Well, not in the downpour, like,
Oh, but
I
at the beginning
mean,
of it?
yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, I saw a couple of pretty neat lightning flashes and got some good thunder, but that was about the extent of it.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that, Doug.
No, but I don't like having to turn a light on in my room at 2 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's when you just lay back and you either take a nice little nap with the rain just falling down, or you just chill and watch some TV and catch up on your TV shows.
Yeah, I gotta do that at some point.
So, but all right, everybody, you guys are here to listen to a Pokemon podcast. This week's episode premiered November 11th, 2010 in Japan, and then here in the States it premiered April 2nd, 2011. And Doug, I believe you are going first this week.
Yes.
All right. So what do you have for us?
So on April 2nd, 2000 or 2000 on April 2nd, God,
You talk for a living.
right. On April 2nd, 1995, WWE holds WrestleMania 11 from the from the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay. All right.
Let's see, 16,305 people in attendance.
We laugh at that number now.
I mean, yeah, because that's like raw. Yeah, because we hadn't quite hit the age of stadium shows yet. This is notable for a couple reasons. It was a continuation of The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. He defeated King Kong Bundy with Larry Young serving as the referee. He was a MLB umpire. Diesel defeated Shawn Michaels in a 20-minute match for the WWF Championship.
That's a name.
And in the main event, New York Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor, with about 75 people, defeated Bam Bam Bigelow in 11 minutes. And when I tell you a thing, freaking Lawrence Taylor's used to run around the field for 3 or 4 plays at a time and then sitting on the sidelines. When I tell you I didn't think he was going to make it to the back after that match, wrestling almost 12 straight minutes. Boy,
Dude, I remember watching that. And I also remember how gassed he was. He was so gassed, he was sweaty, he was all over the place.
like
I
put me
think
back on the
wrestlers
football
even tell
field.
that story. I'm pretty sure I heard from Bully Ray that he saw him after that match. At least I believe so. Was it?
That doesn't line up.
No, no, it wasn't Bully Ray. There was someone I know. There was someone that was saying the same thing about how gassed he was, and they have a podcast. I can't think of who it is.
Oh, that narrows it down. You
I
know,
know,
wrestlers with podcasts. That's only 75,000 of them.
I know, for real.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've heard that story as well, and I mean, I mean, kudos to him. He wrestled the main event at WrestleMania. Not a lot of people can hang their hats on that one, especially non-wrestlers.
And you definitely won't see that these days.
Not in the main event, no. I
No.
mean, we did have Bad Bunny in a tag match this year.
Yeah. He got quoted recently within the past few days saying that he's never watched one of his concerts back, but he's watched his WrestleMania debut match over 100 times.
Oh, well, see, but that doesn't surprise me because he really kind of embraced the wrestling culture. Like everybody that was talking about him was like he was super respectful and he listened if we gave advice and he didn't big league anybody.
Vince McMahon props.
And you can't sit there and tell me Vince McMahon had any idea who the hell Bad Bunny was before he walked in that door that first day.
No. But I mean, when you get a pat on the back by Vince after your match, I mean that kind of says a lot. Like, come back here, man. Come back here, brother. So, all right. But thank you, Doug. Did you have anything else to add on yours?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I knew that the main talking point was going to be Lawrence Taylor, but I was like, I really should look this card up and just kind of looking at the card, and I was like, yeah, 95 was a down year, wasn't it?
Probably. All right. So for me, I went to this event, and this happened in 2006. I went to WrestleMania 22. Yes, we both did WrestleMania, everybody. But I did this one because this was my very first pay per view, and it was my very first WrestleMania on this card, or seeing this card. And we had a bunch of different matches. I'm not going to go down every single one, but we had the infamous Edge with Lita versus Mick Foley hardcore match where they put the flaming table on fire. Wow, flaming table on
Flaming
fire.
table on fire.
On fire. God, I talk poorly. We had Mickey James and Trish Stratus, Undertaker, and Mark Henry. We had Rey Mysterio win the title. We had, I think, the last Playboy pillow fight match.
I think last and only.
And no, they actually no.
No, the one you're thinking of was a Miller Lite cat fight match at 19.
Yeah,
It's different branding.
I guess. But they were still Playboy girls. And then you had
Well, I
yeah,
suppose one of them.
and then you had John Cena defeating Triple H by submission. Everybody, yeah, he made Triple H tap out, and that was the first time. Me as a child, I was 16 years old. Well, not even. I was 15 at the time, and I have never heard such disgust over John Cena until that point, and I believe that might have been the turning point for a lot of people because John Cena got booed the hell out of that arena. Holy fuck balls. He got booed and people were cussing at him, and some people might have been throwing some shit. It wouldn't surprise me. And me and my dad were just looking, and we're like, are we gonna make it out of here? But yeah, that was some show, and it will always hold a place in my heart because it was the very first WrestleMania, and I've ended up attending many after that, but that was the very first WrestleMania that I ever attended, and I remember the big tent that was on the outside. You got to take a photo with the WWE title in the parking lot before they came out with these big access venues. I know they did access before during that time frame, and maybe a little before, but they've kind of blown up access these days. It's kind of a thing now, right, Doug?
Do you know why else WrestleMania 22 was significant?
I'm not sure why.
Because pandemic notwithstanding, WrestleMania 22 was the last
stadium. Last arena.
Arena.
Yeah.
Because the very next year we were in Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan.
What a way to go out in Chicago. Yeah, it's too cold to do it out here now for a stadium. Vince would freeze his damn balls off.
I've begged to differ for many years, but nobody listens.
We always have a shit ton of snow on the ground for WrestleMania.
Not in April.
Yeah, we do.
Not in April. They play baseball in April.
Bro, the past like 3 or 4 years, we had like 3-4 inches of snow on the ground.
Not 3-4 inches.
Yes,
for goodness. No, you're full of shit.
I'm not full of nothing.
Yeah,
all my Chicagoans, let's stand up. But yeah, I mean, winter is getting later and later. I mean, we had freaking snow. We got snow this past. Well, I chalked that up to 2020, but 2020 we had snow up until May.
Well, maybe.
So
they could fucking do it if they wanted to. If they basically
Vince doesn't want to play with Chicago.
They've done outdoor shows in Florida in April. I mean, you're not going to sit there and tell me that's any better.
We actually had the very first delay in WrestleMania history.
Well, but like you said, you chalk that up to 2020. Well, carryover, because I guess technically it was 21 at the time, but basically it was a carryover.
Yeah. Or as I was putting out there, next year is 2022, and it's someone put like the actual 2020 and then put the word TOO after it. So people are expecting that we're going to get another big 2020 stuff happenings next year.
Yeah, it's possible.
I hope. Oh God, I hope not. But we will see. But are you ready to dive into this week's episode? Because this is as filler kind of gets, Doug.
I was going to say, I wouldn't go diving into this one because it's kind of shallow waters.
But there's a lot of things that we could say about it. So,
not a lot of it good, unfortunately.
No. All right, and we start this week's episode with our narrator saying that our heroes are on their way to Nat Green City. And they've kind of stopped to do a little bit of battling. It's between Iris and Silent. Iris with her Axew and Silent with his Pansage. And Ash is just sitting there looking all grumpy, sitting on a tree stump, looking back and forth, wanting to get in on the action. And Iris kind of just shuts him down right then and there.
Yeah, because she's like, if you try to get in on this, all you're going to do is use Volt Tackle, and you're going to win immediately. And Ash is like, oh, okay, so I just won't use Volt Tackle. And she like immediately is like, no. And he's like, oh, okay, Jesus, don't bite my head off.
And she calls Ash a little kid again. And
Hate it. That's like That is nails on a chalkboard.
like like for real, like how and I wanted to make note of this. Ash gets called a kid twice within the first 2 minutes of this episode. I'm just throwing that out
Oh, I just caught the once. I think you hear it once an episode and you're immediately numb.
there. So but Ash is sitting there. He's like, all right, no bolt tackle. And she's like, no, be quiet and you just sit there and watch. He's like, and Ash is like, oh, okay, I hear you. And Pikachu just looks all sorts of defeated.
But that there's nothing stopping Ash from going off a little bit and having a scrimmage of his own. He's got four other Pokemon. Well, five. You got to include Pikachu. We could do a little bit of a round robin thing, but no, he's just got to sit there and just be pouty. It's
Well, I
ridiculous.
mean, it's kind of a good thing that he was just pouting because what we're about to find out is pretty sad. So let's see. So we get the introduction of the theme song, and then we get the title sequence of Bloom. The Bloom is on Axew, and from here we have Iris go, Axew, you scratch. And Axew looks all big and tough, and he starts waddling around like a newborn baby. And Silent goes, Pensage, bullet seed. And when I tell you that Pensage just walks up and literally looks like he just spit, and he spits a little tiny bullet seed, and then he spits some more. It's like pew pew
It's like
pew
when
pew.
Ash was trying to help that Parasect evolve, and freaking Squirtle had to use water gun, but it was the little trickle,
And it still knocked out the damn Paris.
and it was still fucking kicking Axu's ass.
So this Pensage, and we're going to get some more attacks out of this battle, but it's just these little tiny bullet seeds are just pelting Axew like right in the head, and Axew is getting defeated. Iris is getting all concerned. She's like, "Oh no!" And Ash is like, "What the hell was that?"
Silent's got to sit there and go, I didn't mean to overdo it. It's like, dude, how could you? If you did any less, he wouldn't be doing anything.
Just blow some air, and that'll probably knock out frickin' Axew.
That might have.
So Sage is looking all concerned, and Iris is running over to Axew, and she's like, "Remember to do your best, cause we're in training." And Ash looks over. He's like, "Wait a minute, that this is training?" And Silent's like, "Yeah." He's like, "She asked me to help her, so she can get Axu used to battling." And
And he's like, I promised to only use 20% power on my attack. So we see like Pansage is spitting the bullet seeds into his hand. He's like, see, I can control it.
and Ash is like, "You call this a battle?" And she's like, "Getting used to battling a little bit at a time is not a bad thing. Only you." I think this is when she starts calling him a little kid. And Ash is like, "Oh, a little bit, huh?" He's like, "Battling's a lot more fun if you really hit it." And she comes in, she's like, "Ass Ketchum, that's why you're such a little kid." That's the second one.
Hate it. Okay, so I did catch him. I've become numb to it at this point because it's just like it's so nails on a chalk. And then she's like, well, you can clearly see that Silent and Pansage are
Gentlemen.
and they're willing to help Axew, and they do a little bow, and
they show
prim
that
and
they're
proper.
gentlemen and that they respect women and they respect actually they just respect trainers in general.
Right. Well, Silent was 1/3 of a gym leader.
Yep. So it's at this point Ash is like, now that I think about it, this is the first time I've ever seen Axew and you battle. And freaking Silent has to kind of butt in and he's like, I suggest you let Iris and Axew train whatever way that they want to train. Ba- basically telling Ash to shut up. And Ash just gets a stick up his ass. He's like, okay, yeah, whatever. Literally, and I'm not paraphrasing that. He said, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, how dare he have an opinion that doesn't match what, you know, I mean, there's being positive and then there's just being
An
just
asshole.
a, well, or a yes man. Um, so Axu gets psyched up again, and Iris tells him to use Scratch, and
Again.
and we find out why. Um, but Ash and Pikachu are trying to get behind Axu, and Axu is all pumped up, and he goes charging in, and Pansage just takes his head and just grabs him, and Axu's just doing it, me.
Like, have you, like, people that are listening to this and they're trying to envision this, picture a cartoon where a kid just puts his hand on top of your head and the other character is swinging his hardest and he's trying to hit you, but his arms aren't reaching. That's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean to a T. And I mean Iris is mad. She's like, "Get serious," and she's like, and Silence like, "This is a legitimate technique. It's used in battle all the time."
Yeah. And they both look at Iris and they're like, well, does Axu know any other moves? And she's like, well, yeah, he knows one other attack. And she's like, but he hasn't used it. Actually, I skipped over one part, but she's like, but he's not too good at using his move. And then freaking Silence like, all right, well, let's see. Pansage, use Solar Beam. And Pansage
So
starts gathering the energy from the sun above. And Ash is like, if you don't do another move right now, your Axu is going to be done. And he's like, just use the other attack. And she's like, I don't need your advice. Thank you. She's like, my advice to you is to let me have my battle and be quiet. I was like, well, damn, Doug.
yeah, she's just. I mean, we've said it on multiple episodes. Ash is super stubborn, but stubborn versus stubborn doesn't end well for anybody, and you can just see it here that Iris is just digging her heels all the way in,
Yes.
and and see the problem is I see where Iris is coming from because Ash is kind of being a jerk about it, but and they don't have the benefit that we do. Like we can take a step back and take in all of Ash Ketchum, and we understand that he knows from where he comes. He just doesn't know the best way to articulate it.
No, he's 10 years old. Who's traveled the world.
Who's traveled the world and has competed in multiple regions and won
Yeah, you would think
handfuls
he
of
would have a
badges.
little bit more. I guess a little bit more wisdom and things to say. Yeah, I get it.
Well, I mean, he's got it, but like he starts it off so on such a wrong foot that like Iris is the type that she's not going to take even slight negative criticism. She's going to immediately shut down, like we just saw.
So at this point, freaking Pansage, shoots off his solar beam. And when I
Weak
tell you,
ass solar beam. I mean, I'll tell you, I
it
would
looks
have.
like a little snake just came over and used its tongue to just lick Axew, and Axew just faints. And Ash is like, "What the fuck? I've never seen a solar beam like that before." And Pikachu's like, "Pika." And Axew literally got hit by that little tiny ass solar beam and started rolling back. He rolled at least 6 or 7 feet back from that little tiny bump.
And what does Ash say? Ash says, learning new moves is part of training, and this is where we get the he's not very good at it. He's got one other move, but he's not very good, and Ash kind of digs his heels in, and he's like, well, then you're gonna get shit stomped again, aren't you? And
Ash is like, now I want to see your other move. He's like, just go ahead and do it. Basically, nothing else is gonna happen unless you try it and train it. And she's like, all right, fine, I will do it. Axew. And she's like, show him how it's done, Axew. Use Dragon Rage. And everyone around is like, Dragon Rage?
well, that jumped up a notch.
What? Freaking Axew. We get a close up of Axew's belly that is gaining the energy inside, and everyone's like, oh shit. And Silent's like, what the fuck? He's like, I was doing 20%. You're gonna fucking use Dragon Rage on my pants age? And freaking Axew, he's like, Axe! And he sneezes. And when he sneezes, it causes a big ass explosion. And just everyone is just looking around, and freaking Axew's looking around. He's like, what's going on? He has a big old hole around him, and everyone else that was around him has gotten fried. Like, the fuck?
And freaking Iris is like, well, we kind of screwed that up, didn't we? And well, she says, mess it up again. And Ash looks at her and goes, again?
So, and then she starts to cry. She's like, man, yeah, I messed it up again. And freaking Axew is just sitting there with a smile, and then he puts his hand behind his head and he just smiles at the camera and just having a great time. And then we shoot on over to Team Rocket.
And this is what I believe to be the shortest appearance of Team Rocket since we've been doing episodes.
Yes. So they're inside of this abandoned building, and they're all in their getup. And basically Giovanni looks at them and he's like, I need you to gather let's see. He's like, what is this I'm trying to remember. Um the desert resort. So there's a meteorite that has fallen from space, and it's scattered around the entire world. But the biggest piece of the meteorite has landed in a specific region in the Unova region, and that he wants Team Rocket to find and locate and secure this meteorite because it holds unparalleled power, and that he thinks that they would be able to harness the power that is inside of this meteorite and do whatever they need to do with it.
Right. And Team Rockets or Giovanni says this is such a significant mission that I'm sending an additional agent, and they flash this guy's profile on the screen, and Team Rocket salutes because they understand the gravity of the situation, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's Team Rocket.
that was that. That I mean, in a way, they don't need to be in any more of this episode because we see them enough in the next one.
Well, that's true, but I don't know. I was surprised. I was like, I'm so used to Team Rocket. I mean, I'm used to Team Rocket coming in around there, but I'm used to them being a part of the episode until they blast off. But this was just, oh yeah, we're just making sure that Team Rocket's still a thing, and then we're going back to the main story. I was like, oh shit.
They they finally found the right amount of Team Rocket to use in a Pokemon episode.
And now I'm sitting here going, I want more because they're actually doing something.
Yeah, you want to learn more of their story, but they're going to give it to you in little pieces, Doug.
Give me a Team Rocket story. I could skip this for a week.
So I'm sure later on we're going to get an entire episode that's just all Team Rocket and what they're doing, and then Ash and them are going to come in at the end of the episode.
I would be all over that at this point with this iteration. Don't give me it like 5 new seasons from now, and I go, I don't care about this version. Give me the James Bond stuff.
Yes. So we get back with our trio, and they're all Ash and Silent are sitting on a tree trunk. Iris, of course, she climbed a tree and she's sitting up there with Axew, and Ash and Silent are making fun of Axew, which is kind of bogus, especially for Silent.
Yeah, really. I mean, they're calling Dragon Rage Dragon Sneeze, and
Come on, that was funny.
that was funny. But then they hit it like they didn't have to hit it again. They're like, Dragon Sneeze, that's the name. And then they turn to Iris and they say, from now on, you should just call it Dragon Sneeze. And this was Iris's trigger, and she's like, it's not a sneeze. And um, Silent knows he fucked up because he's like, apologies.
He's like, I was just joking. Hey, does Axew know any other moves? Ash goes, and she's like, no, he only knows Dragon Rage and Scratch.
Which is, how is that even a thing? Because when you first get a Pokemon, I mean, I don't know what it is in the newer versions, but I feel like there was at least 4 preloaded attacks when you got your starter.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, you're wrong.
Wow.
Like when you get Charmander in the game, all he knows is tackle and growl, and then after like 1 or 2 levels of him gaining experience, then he learns Ember,
Ah,
and then and then he learns other moves, depending on what version of the game you're playing. And yeah,
well, it's still pretty weird. Like it's such a weird jump. It's like, okay, Scratch and then Dragon Rage. It's like, well, wait a minute. What are we?
Axu knows some other attacks. He just isn't using it yet.
So, but then yeah. So Iris is like, you know, Dragon Rage and Scratch. That's it. And she's like, I don't understand it. Dragon Rage is supposed to cause damage, and we get like a proper demonstration of Dragon Rage. But she says every time Axew tries to use it, the energy balls just end up exploding.
So that just means that you need to train Axew.
Right.
That's all it means.
And we see Axew and Pikachu go up a tree, and Axew grabs a couple apples with his tusks, and
which is pretty cool.
It's adorable because then he brings them over to Iris, and he's so proud of himself. But as that's going on, we're getting a little bit more exposition from Iris, and she's talking about, I know that eventually I'm going to need to train Axew up so he can evolve into a, pronounce this.
What's up?
Haxorus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, she's like, I know I need to evolve him into a Haxorus, but he's very weak. Which how is that anybody's problem but yours?
I'm saying, I mean, and then we get a whole backstory because um, Ash and Silent are sitting there. They're still making fun of little old Axew, and then Ash is like, I never did hear how you caught Axew, and Silent's like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in this story too, and
And
we
right
get him.
before we get into the meat, of course, we get the act break and we get the Who's That Pokemon, and it's Axew. So not only which I could have sworn he was like Who's That Pokemon, like in episode 3 or something.
No,
Huh.
not yet.
So it's Axew, and then we find out that um, Iris was raised in a um,
And basically a Dragonland farm area.
yeah, I was gonna say cult, but that's not fair. Um, like a village type setting,
Yeah, it's like a village slash farm slash a dragon Pokemon area.
and it's the entire village is seen over by like an elder, and when you reach a certain age, you're supposed to go out and start your Pokemon journey, and she was gifted this days old Axew that apparently had just hatched days before.
At the age of 10, by the way. So she's had this actually for 2 years.
Right. So, but then if we start poking holes in her Axew's development, and we get shifted onto Pikachu, and we've gone down that road a couple times before. Um, but yeah, so okay, but your point's valid, right? Like this is a 2-year-old Axew, and it only knows Scratch and Dragon Rage.
Yes.
It should have tripped and fell into an evolution at this point.
For real. And not even just that, but the elderly woman said that Iris's goal in life is to evolve this Axew into a Haxorus. And
Which is a weird goal. I mean, that was my goal when I played the games, because I was trying to grow my Pokédex. But that's just me playing a video game.
But she said that in order to evolve this Axew, I mean, and I get it. I mean, but it's a lot slower of a process. But she said your heart must be basically intertwined together in order for it to evolve.
But I think that Axew and Iris have a decent, well, decent's not even fair. They have a really good connection, but I think the problem is, and we're seeing it, Iris is raising Axew as a pet,
And not
and
and not like a battling Pokemon.
not a battling Pokemon exactly.
So Axew has no backbone.
Right.
Ba-bum.
As evidenced by the fact that he was KO'd by frickin' soft toss bullet seed.
Yeah, for real. Like, why don't you just go and get a feather from a pillow and just blow it on Axew? It'll still knock him out.
Put him in traction. So, as Iris is telling her story, we realize that everybody has lost track of Iris and Pikachu. And now I'm not really concerned about Pikachu, because at this point, Pikachu's kind of...
Not Iris and Pikachu, Axew and Pikachu.
I did say Iris. Yes, Axew and Pikachu, but I'm not really worried about Pikachu, because Pikachu is shown to be pretty self-sufficient. And yes. I guess in a certain respect, I wasn't worried about Axew, because Axew was with Pikachu.
Yes. So,
but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's at this point that Pikachu's always trying to be the hero, and Axew has climbed another tree, and he has found a couple of apples, and he has to climb or crawl his way over on the smallest twig in this tree to go and get this apple that looks so delicious. And Pikachu's like, no, please come back here, come back. And Axew is just stepping. He's just creeping over to this apple, and he finally grabs the apple, and then the twig kind of breaks, and so does his grip on the apple, and he just goes falling straight down.
No, sir. I'll argue that he has a grip on the apple the whole time.
Okay, so he gets a grip on the apple, he tears the apple off, and then falls straight down. And
And
he,
I th-
oh,
and
I'm sorry.
I thought the bit was going to be that he's going to land and the next time we see him pop his head up, he's going to have the apple like on his head like a helmet. But it
Mhm.
was much worse.
Oh boy, was it much worth. And he falls, and then we see a scolipede inside of the bush, and this scolipede is huge,
Massive.
and freaking Axu is caught in between its. Would you say those are horns or its
Oh, it
ears?
was caught.
Yes.
I thought it was just hanging on this whole time. I was like, just like, and no, it was lodged. Okay,
No. Yeah. He Axu got lodged in between Scolipedes. I'm gonna call them its horns.
I would say horns.
And Scolipede is just so pissed off, and he's shaking Axu back and forth, and he's like, "Get off of me! I didn't ask you to get on top of me. Get off!" And he, freaking Scolipede just starts running away, and Pikachu, trying to help out, gets his Iron Tail and tries to attack the Scolipede, and Iron Tail was to no avail, and freaking Scolipede just takes its back end and whips Pikachu straight over into a tree.
Right, smack into it. I mean, straight up George of the Jungle style.
And Scolipede just looks like to have a big anger problem because it's going after Pikachu, and Pikachu's like, no, 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 oh no, this is bad. And then we just get a back like
Split the tree in half.
yeah, it split the tree directly in half that Pikachu was leaning right up against. And then we find out it didn't hit Pikachu, and Pikachu is running for its life, Doug.
Yeah, and we see him out of nowhere. We see that um, Axu is kind of aware of the gravity of the situation, and we see that it's charging up another Dragon Rage attack, and off in the distance, basically the trio standpoint, we see this big explosion and smoke.
Ash immediately goes, "Oh, it's Axu's dragon sneeze."
I, I was like, I mean, that was funny, but that was, not the time or place.
No, not at all. And Iris is basically like, "Fuck you. We got to
And,
go get him."
and so they go running towards the explosion, and then Pikachu comes jumping out of a bush, and he is just frantic. And he's trying to get, well, I mean, not get his attention because obviously they're aware of the explosion, but he's trying to explain the situation, and obviously, because
Pikachu made its ears look like the horns of the Scolipede, and man, I mean, I give Pikachu props on getting its ears like that.
and the spikes on Axu's back as well.
Yeah, for real.
And Ash is like, "Okay, buddy, you got to calm down. I can't understand you." And and then we hear off in the distance, we hear Axu's
Cry.
cry, and then we see the Scolipede pop up, and we can see that Scolipede is still has Axu between its
Horns.
horns or antennas. I mean, that was the word I couldn't think of, but I like horns because it's such a big motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, using the horns on its head. I just got the Pokedex thing.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah, they're horns. So it's at this point. I'm not gonna go word for word of what Dexter is, because Ash pulls out Dexter. Of course, he's like, "Oh, what's this Pokemon?" Even though they need to save the Pokemon, and Wouldn't it have been some shit if it's like Axew instead of Scolipede? I'm sorry. Stupid things I thought of when I was first watching this cartoon. Um, and they talk about Scolipede and how Scolipede has a temper, and that once it gets angry, it's very hard to get it to not be angry anymore until Scolipede has basically done what it needs to do to walk away.
Right, and I feel like we've heard this description in a manner of speaking a couple different times, talking about, oh, it won't give up until it's victorious.
Yes.
It's like, come on, people, use some more material.
And Scolipede then at that point, after Ash puts his Pokédex away, notices the trio with Pikachu and is like, "Oh, you son of a bitch! Get this thing off of me!" and just starts chasing all three of them, and they are booking it. Doug.
And then we see the Scolipede shoot out toxic sludge on a rock, and it absolutely corrodes the rock.
I
And
was like,
then,
"Damn!"
Silent identifies it as toxic, and then he shoots it against a tree, and a tree, of course,
Rots out.
disintegrates in the middle. And then um, Silent and Ash both call out their grass Pokemon to stop the rampage of the Scolipede.
Yes. And freaking Pansage is using Bullet Seed and that does nothing but kind of irritate the mess out of Scolipede. Scolipede does stop in its track, but it's just pissed. And freaking Snivy uses its Vine Whip to go around the horns of Scolipede, and Scolipede is just way too big, and freaking Snivy is way too small, and Snivy just gets whipped all sorts of ways of yesterday and just gets thrown, and Ash is like, damn. Yeah, you're done battling. So he calls it back and then sends out his to pick.
Well, no, this is when actually Iris jumps in front, and she's like, "This is my Pokemon. I have to unless I skip something."
Oh no, you're right. You're right. You are right. Iris jumps into the frame and she's like, I'm gonna use another Pokemon, and this is the first time we've seen her take a Pokeball out, let
Well,
alone have another Pokemon.
and when she first pulled out the Pokeball, I was like, "Oh, she's going to try to catch it," because I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is a wild Scolipede.
Yes.
And she's like, "I've got another Pokemon," and she goes to throw it, and she stops, which in baseball we call that a balk. Um, because you can't be doing that. And then Ash is like, "Well, what's the problem?"
And she takes in a big breath at that point, throws the Pokeball, and the Pokeball slowly brings out another Pokemon, and the Pokemon just hits the ground and does not move.
It just looks like a giant warhead, and we
Yes,
find out that it's called Expedrill, and it's the evolved form of
Rober.
Drillbur, and we get the Pokédex readout, which
It says that it
isn't.
can move up to 100 meters at a time underground.
But then and Ash has a dumb line that did make me laugh. He was like, "That doesn't look like that Pokemon in the picture."
And and Silence like, right, because that when Exadrill only takes that form when it's going to start digging underground, but it's not moving. So why is it doing this above ground? And freaking Iris has to walk over, and she's basically pleading with Excadrill, to help out in this battle, and she basically says, "Forget it, I'll do it myself." And
So Iris has a Charizard,
yes, her Pokemon will not listen to her.
and then she's like, I'll make my move. And we basically get, the elder told me this is my duty. It's my duty to protect
Axew.
my Pokemon.
And she
Silent,
said this is part of her trial.
and then Silent has Pansage boot up a solar beam. Ash calls out to Pig to use Ember.
Yes.
And Pikachu steps up, and Pikachu is going to use Thunderbolt.
And so at this point, Pikachu and Pig use both of their moves at the same time, pointing it at the ground to stop this Scolipede. And Pansage uses its solar beam and freaking nails Scolipede. Iris finds a vine out of nowhere and just goes all Tarzan and just swoops down, grabs Axew by the foot, and Axew is just like a little baby and just gets pulled out. He looks up. He's so happy that he's off of the Scolipede. And everybody's celebrating. It's a happy moment. There's only 4 minutes left in this episode. And
3 minutes, I would say.
I was about to say. And Pansage and Pig get called back into their Pokeball. And freaking Scolipede, remember from the Pokedex, said that it has a temper. And it looks over at Axew and it looks over at Iris. And he's like, well, shit. I'm still pissed. And he
just boots freaking Excadrill, who hasn't moved.
Yeah, just starts running. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, he mule kicks Excadrill, who kind of uses a stump as a ramp into another, I should say like a rock into a stump, and drills into the stump underground, and then delivers like a spinning uppercut to Scolipedes, and then pops out, and it's like some kind of ninja, and then we're going to have an Excadrill Scolipedes showdown. And Ash is like, oh, perfect. Excadrill decided to wake up. Iris, give it a command. And Iris is like, I can't do it, fam.
Because he's not gonna he's not gonna listen to me, so he's just gonna battle this out on his own. And freaking all of a sudden we see Scolipede just start going in to tackle Excadrill, and Excadrill basically ducks and basically shoots up Scolipede from its head, like just shoots it into the sky and gets rid of Scolipede. I feel bad for Scolipede at this point.
A little bit.
Like,
I'm just sitting there the whole time going, all right, somebody needs to catch this. It's a wild Scolipede.
Yeah, for real. And Excadrill is so happy that it got rid of the Scolipede, and freaking Iris goes over to congratulate it and thank him for, thank it for helping everybody out. And then it goes
immediately goes bing.
Yeah, it goes back into its little position that it was in, as if it's gonna start cutting and just won't listen. And Iris is just defeated again. She's like, "All right, just get back in your Pokeball." Like, what happened to where what happened in these past 2 years where Iris got this Pokemon, and something tells me she probably has more Pokemon, but that she got this Pokemon and it doesn't want to listen to her.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have to wait another 10 episodes.
I know.
I mean, it took freaking 9 to figure out where Axew came from.
So,
for goodness sakes.
But Iris gets down on her knees to get to Axew's level, asks you if he is okay. Well, if it is okay, because she said that Axew is an it during her story, so we never found out if it's a boy or a girl. But she did say that it's an it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
yeah, I don't know either. I was really hoping to find out if it's a boy or a girl, but we don't. But at this point, Axew is happier than a pagan shit, and just happy to see Iris again, putting its arms up into the air. Um, hopefully, Axew is not going on any more twigs anymore on top of trees. And Silent is telling Iris that she needs to just not worry about battling too much and just go at her own pace. And at some point, she's going to learn to battle and actually will get stronger.
So everybody's content with that, and that immediately triggers Ash to go, all right, so now how about a battle? And then Iris basically looks at him and goes, did you not just listen for the last 2 minutes? I'm going to battle at my own pace. And Ash goes, fine, I'll go. And she's like, why don't you go battle Pikachu yourself if you're so antsy? And he fucking does it.
Well, why do I feel like Ash actually battles his Pikachu to train it?
He's got 4 other Pokemon.
Yeah, I know he does.
He could.
It makes you so mad.
But he's like, no, hit me with Thundershot, and he hits him. And he's like, all right, now get a Volt Tackle ready because I'm going to charge you. And he does it. He gets fucking knocked into a goddamn tree.
And that's how we end up. And that's how we end up ending this episode is by Ash getting knocked out into
Fuck
a tree.
Everybody. This is the stupidest shit.
But yeah, that was this week's episode. We end this week. Basically, our trainers were just training inside of this forest on their way to Nacreen City.
Fuck this shit, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a 2-star because I'm very curious as to what you're gonna give it. I'm scared you're gonna give it a 1-star this week.
Yeah, no, I am.
Oh, okay.
Because like I was intrigued by the Team Rocket storyline progression last week, right?
Yes.
So how do they reward me with my patience and my excitement? Team Rocket's in the episode for 2 minutes.
Yes.
And then...
But it's going to pick up next week, though.
I know, but I also have to put up with Trip next week.
Oh, they're just copying freaking first season in episode 12. I just saw the name of episode 12. Here comes the Trubish squad.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Oh, of course.
Oh, boy. Wrap this episode up. I'm disgusted.
All right. So I do have a couple of Pokemon packs here. I'm going to go with a Chilling Rain Sword and Shield Chilling Rain Pokemon pack this week. So let's go ahead and get this open. And I picked this pack because it seemed to be a little heavy, but I got a fucking black card, so something tells me it's going to be a dud pack already. Jesus. All right, let's see. Doug, what card am I going to be looking at? Energy card.
Psychic.
It's a fighting.
Ah, poop.
So we got a fighting energy, a spiral energy, a honey, an Avery. Oh, an Avery card, but it's not shiny though. I got a Venipede, which is the unevolved form that we saw in this episode. I have a Spheal, a Crabrawler, a Gullet, a Porygon. My reverse holo is a Walrein, and then my rare this week is a Gallade. So, and it's a non-holo Gallade. So Man, I am striking out with some of these packs, man. So next week
Sounds like it.
I better pull something. But that's the name of the game, everybody. So do you have anything else to add this week, Doug?
No, this episode didn't need to be a thing.
All right. I'm going to ask you, would you take this or Beauty and the Beach?
I would take Beauty of the Beach. At least we could make fun of that.
This one was just a nothing happening episode.
This was just yeah.
So, all right. Well, then go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, do not miss next week's episode because it is a lot better than this week. It's called A Rival Battle for Club Champ. So take that for what it is. Ash gets to fight his rival the whole episode. Have a good night, everybody.